Simon Worthington. I'm one of the company directors of Phantom Motor Cars, Rolls-Royce and Bentley specialists. Now, this is a Blackpool engine. Blackpool engine was a project code name for this engine. And this engine was designed with a corporation of Bentley and Cosworth together.
Kind of era? What?
So this was done in 1997, but it probably would have been started in 96 as a project.
And so Cosworth built the engines for the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirits 4 that I have.
Cosworth were building the engines for Bentley through 96, 97, 98.
So they were doing the turbo.
So they were doing the turbo Rs, turbo RTs,
yeah.
that sort of generation of vehicle.
Okay. And those engines had a single turbo.
Yep, they all had single turbo, single charge cooler. So the derivative of this is basically the same overall engine design, but the induction side of it was changed to have a twin turbo and twin charge cooler.
Okay.
Intercooler.
So this looks quite different. That's
yes. Yeah. So now we've got a charge cooler on either bank. So a turbo on either bank.
So the turbos here.
This forces air in through the charge cooler and into the throttle body at the back. Same this side, into the body at the back. So the body is the meeting point for both airs to come in.
And that would be quite different on this engine. Obviously, these two are new. The turbos are in a different position.
So the top areas, there's a lot of difference in the plumbing aspect. The way the air that goes in, the way the charge coolers are cooled through the radiator, keeping the same radiator at the front.
So actually, we'll go back and we'll say, so Blackpool was a special engine developed for whom?
This was a Sultan of Brunei project.
Who essentially kept Bentley, Rolls-Royce going through the 90s.
He
with special commissions.
He had a special projects on quite a few vehicles. He paid for things like the development of the Bentley Azure. So they took the two-door Continental R and developed it into a convertible, and he paid for basically that development.
Wow.
That was back in the early 90s. And then I think they probably spent 10 years as doing projects together with Bentley and the Sultan of Brunei.
And he wanted essentially a faster engine or a more powerful engine?
Both. One comes with the other, so it's got more power.
Was it for? So this is in where the car it's in is a Continental T, which is the shorter wheelbase with the flared arches.
Yeah.
And standard engine.
This would have been 97 car, so it would have been running 400 horsepower.
400.
Yeah.
And eventually they went
then
to.
1 year after this, 98 model cars ran 420 horsepower with 650 pounds-feet of torque.
And that was a single turbo as well.
They're all single turbos.
They're all single turbos.
Yeah.
But this one then had twin turbo. You managed to get some of the leftover.
We managed to buy 13 engines and gearboxes from Bentley Motors Parts Department.
Crated. They were brand new.
They were brand new crated engines. They'd all been on test at Cosworth, so they'd all been run.
Yeah.
But they'd been in storage for probably more than 10 years. They were wanting some room in their storage department. They were never going to be used. Sultan Brunei didn't really use the cars; they're all in storage.
Yeah.
So they decided to move them on, and that's where we came in. We bought 13 of them.
Now, everyone watching this is going to want to know: can they buy one from you?
We've sold them quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
So we sold them very quickly.
Yeah.
Quite a sensible price.
Can we ask? What's a sensible
No.
price? Well, can we say that fitting this in this car?
Yeah, the cost of fitting it in this car, I'll give you some idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the owner supplied this engine. He'd already bought it himself. I don't know how much he paid for it.
Yeah.
But then the fitting of it is just quite a massive amount of work. I mean, the engine itself the base engine is the same as the engine that came out. So there's not a huge amount of actually fitting it, but it's all the rewiring and the replumbing of everything.
So everything needs to be upgraded essentially.
Yes, I mean I think the hardest bit has been rewiring, because there's a lot of difference on the wiring side of it. They use different sensors, so we've got to swap out a few sensors, modify some wiring. The alternator's in a totally different place. Instead of being over here where the turbo is on bank B, the alternator's been moved down to the bottom of bank A, so it's right down the bottom. So there's wiring issues running the loom down to that point, and the main power supply is down to that point.
And you've had to do a whole new engine management system.
There will
they
be.
didn't come with.
No, we've also upgraded the injectors on this car, because it's been standing a long time. The injectors were going to be stuck.
Right.
So, from experience, we were just putting new injectors in there, and then the owners asked them to be upgraded. So,
what difference would that make when you say upgraded?
Upgrading is basically putting more fuel in, so the bigger injectors. So they're running probably nearly 100% more fuel available.
That's a lot.
We don't have to use that.
Yeah.
But it's availability. You don't really want your injectors running at 100% anyway.
Okay.
They don't like it after a long time. But the reason why the owner wants bigger injectors is trying to produce more horsepower. So we're going to try and move it from the 440 as specified by manufacturer
for the Blackpool engine.
For the Blackpool engine.
Yeah.
We're going to try and move it to 550.
Okay.
Just on refueling and reboosting.
Okay. And obviously that includes the whole engine management system.
Yes. So at the moment we're running it on the original Zytec engine ECU, which is in this box here.
Okay.
But we're going to run a different, because this runs with a lot of stuff included into the interior of the car, the dashboard, various other components, ABS components, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. We've still got to keep that an integral part of the running system.
So the new engine management unit will piggyback
Yes, exactly. It'll be piggybacked in there. So all the new engine management will do is run the fueling and the ignition timing and the boost control system.
And has one of these Blackpool engines been fitted in a Continental? Seems like a lot of work.
These were only fitted into the project vehicles of the Sultan of Brunei, which were three different. They had a saloon car, a coupe, and a four-wheel drive SUV.
But Bentley didn't have any wiring system or any. It was literally done at the time, I presume.
Well, those project vehicles would have had their own bespoke systems anyway. They're virtually one-offs. I think there were three of each model made.
Yeah.
And they would have all been bespoke, very bespoke units. So we can't get any components from those vehicles.
You're starting from scratch, essentially. Yeah.
So we have to do everything bespoke ourselves now.
And are there any other cars running Blackpool?
Not as far as we know.
You've got one.
Well, we've got a special that's running a Blackpool engine. It's having some work done at the moment. We did one of our very first Turbo R race cars with a Blackpool engine in. I think that's in Holland now. We raced it for probably 3 years like that.
So it's a strong engine. I mean, it's not being pushed.
No. I mean, we ran it at 600 horsepower.
Okay.
And it was absolutely fine. The other Blackpool engine in the special runs at 600 horsepower.
So you're pretty confident you'll get.
It's fine. The engine, on the whole, it would be fine for producing 600 horsepower. It probably can produce more than that. But you don't really need to stress it.
And then what about the gearbox and the brakes? Or it came with the gearbox, did it?
This came with a gearbox. Although it's got a brand new gearbox in it.
Was the gearbox the standard?
Gearbox on this car is standard gearbox.
But the gearbox that you got the Blackpool engines with,
they're all standard gearboxes.
They're all standard.
They're all standard 4L ATEs. Actually, a really good robust gearbox.
The 4-speed ones.
4-speed electric.
The one I have in my car.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Same.
And then, because when you think about it, say if you think of the later Bentleys that they put the V8 engine back into, Would that have been, you know, like the Arnages?
Oh, the Arnage T's?
Yeah.
Well, they
Would they
ran
have
the
been-
same gearbox as this
Yeah.
up until 2006, 7.
Yeah. And that was getting,
And that was getting 420 horsepower.
or did they go
But
500 by the end?
The later ones were actually produced, the last ones produced 450 horsepower
Yeah.
in that region.
Okay. And the brakes are pretty huge on these
Brakes
anyway.
are huge, keeping all the brakes the same. So nothing much more is changing apart from the engine and the engine mapping.